Welcome to Kickin with the Rickens, redefining retirement. Gerry, Ricken, and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you retire with purpose and live with joy. Find more information, including how to reach the team, in today's show notes. Now, Kickin with the Rickens, powered by Ricken Financial.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening to Kickin with the Rickens podcast. We are here with retirement planner Heidi Ricken Provost and licensed insurance professional Gerry Ricken. My name is Mark Owens. We invite you to get more at rickenfinancial.com. You can get all the information here in the show notes. Thanks again for subscribing. Now, let's get to the show. Heidi, Gerry, how are we feeling this weekend? Feeling good? Feeling festive?
We are feeling very much in the spirit of things.
Last weekend helped kick up, the spirit of the season.
You know, every year, Mark, since 2008, I may or may not have sat in a chair and had children tell me what they'd like for Christmas.
I love that.
At our parish, Our Lady of the Pillar. And that occurred last weekend.
And I have the distinct honor and privilege of assisting as elf.
Oh, yeah.
My number one elf, by the way.
Yes.
My number one elf.
One and only elf this year.
Yes.
As we were making our way there, this guy next to me is like, hey, what do kids want this year? I'm like, I don't know what the hell kids want. And I said, they might talk about like a Labubu. And I explained what that is and how it's like the new craze, kind of like the Beanie Babies were when I was growing up. And, a couple other things. The kids shocked the hell out of me. None of them mentioned anything that I told Dad they might mention.
No, they didn't. There were a lot of puppies.
Oh, my God.
Like real puppies or like robot puppies?
I loved Santa's reaction to that.
Yes.
Would you like to share with the class?
You understand there's a lot of responsibility with a puppy. Who's going to clean up the poop? So,
and if the
kids said,
if
parents,
Mom and Dad were going to clean up the poop, then Santa let them know that they're probably not ready for the responsibility of a puppy.
Yes. Parents were all thanking me, believe me.
But it's funny because kids ask for the saying, kids say the darndest thing.
Right.
I'll just give you a few of my highlights this year.
All right.
One child asked for a Bugatti, which is a couple $100,000 car.
Trey, that's for you.
Yeah.
A child asked for this?
Yes. And I know the dad, and he looked at me and he's like, oh, Santa, I think my child might need to learn about investments and retirement and the necessity of putting money away for the future.
That's right. So maybe we'll send my 7-year-old to Ricken Financial for a course.
And then from that side of the spectrum, too, there was a set of brothers, and the one said he wanted a Hot Wheels track, which I thought that was awesome.
Old school.
Hot Wheels
Nice.
still
Hot Wheels
have
is
this
back.
huge
Hot Wheels are back.
resurgence.
Yep.
He was talking about how much fun it would be to play with, and, he can set it up with his brother. And then Santa asked his brother, well, what about you? And he was like, well, I get to share everything with my brother anyway. So I think we should just ask for that together because we usually don't get much.
Oh.
To be grateful for everything we have is a huge lesson these kids teach me every single year.
So true. So true.
And here we are sitting in absolutely unbelievable parish. There's a lot of wealth around us too. And you never really know what people have or are going through. And it's the time of year that we focus on giving back so that every kid gets to experience the magic.
At our church, we have an angel tree, and they work with some local shelters, helping to give kids what they want.
Right.
Caroline, my daughter, she's 12 years old, and so she picked a name off the angel tree. And all that this child wanted was Bluey, the cartoon, wanted 2 Bluey posters. That's it. Not a Bluey plushie doll, not a Bluey toy, 2 Bluey posters. And Caroline saw that, and she's like, no, not on my watch. So she took her own money and her own allowance and just got toys and stuffed animals and coloring books and those posters and everything. And for me, it made me feel good as a father to see that she's doing the right thing to help out this kid. But it also, for the kid that, what would make me happy? 2 posters. I'm like, oh, my heart. And then, of course, Caroline follows that up with, and Daddy, I want a new cell phone, and I want jewelry, and I need an Apple Watch and a Bugatti as well.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So, I never knew it. Well, Bluey didn't exist back in the day, but I always wanted a Farrah Fawcett poster.
Yes, sir. I still do. I did a quick
anyway.
I did a quick search on the most popular kids' toys for 2025. Gravity Maze, a falling marble logic game. All right, cool. Kids using their noggin. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
A Bitsy hamster ball, interactive toy hamster with over 20 hamsters inside. It's all animatronic. It's not real hamsters inside this ball.
Thank the Lord, because we had real hamsters and they smell.
Oh, dude, they were.
We did have a bunny request too. We had a bunny request.
That mom looked at me and said, that child has never mentioned a bunny ever. Where did that come from? And I was like, I'll let Santa know how smelly bunnies are and to clean out the cages, because my brother had bunnies too and they were disgusting.
We also had one child who asked for a 3D printer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
because
cool.
his mother is a STEM teacher.
And he's like, I want to learn more like mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was very fascinating.
They can build me some new teeth. And the other thing,
especially we just talked about that offline, that Mark has some new teeth and he had them 3D printed.
They were
the prototype 3D printed.
I had to get some impressions done, and they literally put 3D printed teeth in my mouth. Technology, baby. The last thing that I saw here that kids want for 2025, a mystic pickle, a magic fortune-telling pickle.
What has the
It's like the old
world
8-ball.
come to?
It's like the old 8-ball.
I take that over a vape pen.
Agree.
Oh, yeah.
3D teeth and a mystic pickle. Christmas 2025 in full effect here. Hey, let's get to it here this weekend. RickenFinancial.com to meet the team, or, of course, that number 314-207-6211. You can reach out at any time. We're celebrating the holidays. We're excited. We got holiday parties. We're going to see friends, family, company, work parties. But we're always thinking about what's next, always thinking about your financial future. And Heidi, before the end of the year, what should we be taking advantage of, or what do we need to do regarding our portfolio before we flip the calendar to 2026?
You know, in the Christmas season, so many people are in the giving spirit too. And we all know that if you're going to itemize in your tax return next year, the more money you give to charity, the more deductions you get in the future. But what if right now you're receiving a required minimum distribution? Well, if you have already taken your distribution, which, by the way, we are well into December. If you have not taken your required minimum distribution, or the amount you have to take out of your traditional IRA 401k funds by year end, please, please, please pick up the phone and give us a call at 314-207-6211 if you need help with this. Contact whoever houses your 401ks and IRAs and take that RMD before year end so you don't have to pay a tax penalty. But you know, if you do have your RMD and it's come in and you're going to give some money away to charity, you can take advantage of reducing your taxation of your RMD before year end in the form of a qualified charitable distribution. So if you're giving money away to a charity before year end and you have your RMD come to you first, you can satisfy the necessity of taking that RMD without having to pay tax on it.
And by the way, if you are 73, you have to take a required minimum distribution this year. But if you're 70 and a half, you can also take advantage of the qualified charitable distribution. So call us at 314-207-6211 and we'll share how that works.
Just a little food for thought. You want to ensure that you're taking that required minimum distribution before year end, because just to reiterate, if you miss it, if you don't take it, you have to pay a 25% tax penalty for not having income come into you. A fourth of what you should have come in as income, you're going to have to pay the IRS as a penalty for not taking the income. We always want to avoid those penalties.
Yep.
So you want to ensure that you get that RMD taken by year end. And if you don't know how to figure out what your percentage of that RMD is, it's a calculation based upon your life expectancy and the dollar amount of what was in those traditional funds at year end last year. We can help you figure that out as well.
That number is 314-207-6211, RickenFinancial.com. You just mentioned the QCD, Qualified Charitable Distributions. This time of the year, we always feel like we want to help out the community, a great opportunity. We got a call a couple of weeks ago from a young lady who said, I'm doing pretty well. I've got extra income. I want to donate it. I want to be charitable with that. Can you help me? And I think that's a great problem to have, Heidi. You can help people be charitable and also selfishly help with their taxes as well.
Absolutely, because those clients who work with us on retirement planning, we do prepare your income tax returns as a service as well. But we're always forward focusing on your taxation. We don't just do the tax prep in the beginning of the year each year. We do tax planning to forward focus on how to reduce your income taxes. So this is something we talk about throughout the year. We just want to ensure that, you know, by year end, there is a deadline, so you got to get it done by then.
And there's no excuse. I mean, there is no excuse for that. The IRS looks at that and says, you have the penalty. And there is maybe a little bit of a caveat in there that if you do it once and you mess it up one time, you may be able to reduce that to 10%. But no one wants to pay a tax penalty.
Listen, our entire goal in our working careers is to help every person we meet pay their fair share of taxes, but nothing above that. And if possible, we'd love to assist you in retiring tax-free. So we definitely want to avoid those penalties.
You offer the Purpose Approach exclusively from Ricken Financial. For those that may not have heard about it, tell me, what does it involve?
Here's what it involves. It's the name of our plans that we put together for you to ensure that you have a plan in place for everything that's going to affect you in your retirement years. And we call it the Purpose Approach because the first question we're going to ask you is, what's your purpose going to be in retirement? What do you want to do with your time? In order for us to build the financial plan around you, we need to know what your goals are, what your wants are, what your needs are, so we can ensure you have a plan in place to weather the storm and that, the money doesn't really become your stressor in retirement. You get to enjoy a purposeful retirement and do what you want to do. It's going to include some estate and legacy planning needs, long-term care coverage, health coverage, tax planning, ensuring that what you're doing is matching your risk tolerance, and quite possibly the most important facet, income planning to ensure that you have enough income to cover your needs, including a huge conversation surrounding the big old decision of when we're going to draw our Social Security retirement benefits.
A lot of drama surrounding Social Security. I know this is one of the biggest conversations that you have. So let's get into it. I know it's the holiday season. We don't mean to be the Grinch right now, but we need to talk about it and prepare for it. And what steps are you taking with the families you serve regarding Social Security and what could happen in 2026?
I'll tell you, there's a lot of fear mongering right now surrounding Social Security. At least a couple times a week, we hear from a current client or a prospect, someone we're coming across who is woefully concerned about the ability for Social Security to pay them in their retirement years. Yeah, maybe some of the fear is right because we still don't have a plan for how to fix the system. So we've got an entire year knowing that our system is broken, having no plan in place to help fix it. But let me tell you, in the 80s, the trustees report that comes out annually that says the solvency of Social Security in 1983, the plan said by 1984, Social Security will be insolvent. It was fixed then.
Yeah.
We're sitting here in 2025 and the system still exists and is still paying people. So changes have had to be made continuously over the course of time since Social Security was enacted. And a lot of people have lost a lot of faith in politics and the government and whatever. But I'm here to tell you, I have not lost faith in the ability for our country to figure out how to cover Social Security benefits because a majority of our retirees stay above the poverty line because of their Social Security benefits, and our economy would be in pretty rough shape without Social Security. So yes, the fears are founded, but I think that there's going to be a resolution in the end.
And I also think it'd be a very bad look of our elected politicians if they just let Social Security dissolve after all these conversations and all the drama behind it. So what's one of the biggest misconceptions that you're hearing right now about Social Security?
I don't know where this narrative came from, but we've had a few people reach out to us and ask, they were waiting to draw their Social Security benefits because the longer you wait, the larger your monthly benefit will be. And as we know, one of the most important decisions you can make in your retirement lives is ensuring that you have enough guaranteed income to cover your expenses. And people may still laugh at this. Social Security is guaranteed income. And if you can wait so that your benefit is larger and helps cover more of the necessities in your retirement, better off you're going to be. So we had a client who is retiring at the end of this year, but is not turning on their benefits for a couple of years because we were going to allow them to grow before they start their benefit. And they reached out because someone they know in the world who does not work in our industry, I don't really even know what this person's role is or anything, they heard through the grapevine that if you begin your benefits, you'll be grandfathered into the system. So they believed they needed to take them early and leave a bunch of money on the table because they'll be grandfathered in. There is no such thing as being grandfathered into these benefits. In fact, when you read all of the proposed legislation that has come across, Social Security to fix the system, the only quote unquote grandfathering that might be done is for people who are nearing retirement. They could be grandfathered into the previous system, but it has nothing to do with starting your benefits at any certain point in time. And I have no clue where that narrative came from, but there is no such thing as turning your benefits on so that you get grandfathered in at that price with a tax law change or Social Security change in the future.
So we're talking about Social Security here this weekend on Kickin with the Rickens, 314-207-6211. I want you to hear this audio clip. This is economist E.J. Antoni. He told Fox Business that the failure to act on Social Security could mean benefit cuts in the future. But he uses a word here that I want you to catch on to.
Look, for a lot of you folks, the system is not going to look like, at the time of your retirement, it's not going to look like what it does today. That's just the reality. We're not having enough kids. The population is not growing fast enough. Specifically, the number of working people is not growing fast enough. And if you're going to keep a Ponzi scheme going, which, structurally, that's what Social Security is, it relies on an ever-growing increase of people paying into the system to pay for today's retirees. If you're not going to keep that growing, that population, that working group, then you are going to have to make structural changes. That's the math.
Do you agree? And the word I heard there is Ponzi scheme.
Yes, I do agree. Because what is a Ponzi scheme? You take money from one person to pay out someone else. That's exactly what the Social Security Administration does. They take a Social Security tax in the form of FICA while we're working in order to pay the Social Security benefits, the disability benefits, and all the other benefits that they pay out in the system. So yes, it is quote unquote kind of like a Ponzi scheme. And I do appreciate what he's saying. Without changes, it is insolvent. And we don't have the money coming in to cover the necessity. If we take away grandma's benefits, do you not think we're going to have a civil war?
Yeah.
Yeah. So many people are completely reliant on this for their retirement to work. And when I'm sitting here having a conversation with a 35-year-old, a 40-year-old, we have a different conversation for planning for your retirement needs than a 55-year-old, a 60-year-old, a 65-year-old who wants to retire in the next few years. I have faith that the system's still going to pay out Social Security benefits for the next few years, but if it doesn't, we always have a backup plan in place. Social Security is only a portion of your income necessities in your retirement years. So we want to ensure that your income plan covers more than just Social Security coming into you. And we're going to build that out based upon each individual's needs, as well as, what other forms of income can be coming in to help you. So we do that through our purpose approach. And if you're wondering when the right time to take your Social Security is, if you have enough income to cover you in retirement, we'd love to have a conversation and see if we can help. Just give us a buzz at 314-207-6211. That's 314-207-6211, so that we can sit down and talk about what your income needs are going to be and how to get those covered for you in retirement.
And you've said it before, Heidi, that for a lot of adults that have questions, they call the Social Security Administration. They can give you advice.
Exactly. That's exactly how they work. And actually, legally, they cannot give any form of advice. So there are hundreds of different ways you can claim your Social Security benefits. And we're surrounded by talking heads in this industry every day. I heard a Dave Ramsey clip the other day, and I think I've mentioned this before, but he said, I believe every American needs to draw their Social Security benefits at age 62 because you'll get the most out of the system and you'll ensure that you get something out of the system, and you should have the wherewithal to save it. If you're making over like $20,000 a year, still working, and you turn on your benefits at age 62, let's talk about the mechanics of that. You're going to pay back every single penny to the Social Security Administration that they will have paid you during the year. And guess what? You get to pay taxes on the dollar amount that you did not receive in Social Security benefits because you had to pay it back to them. So if you're not at your full retirement age, you do have to be careful about double dipping from the system while making and earning a paycheck. You can't double dip and also take your Social Security too early. You have to wait till you hit your full retirement age. The dollar amount's different in the year that you hit your full retirement age, and then the year after, you can make unlimited amounts of money and also claim your benefits. But the point is, there is no blanket advice on Social Security. every single person in our country is going to have a different answer for when it makes sense for them and their family of when they're going to turn on those benefits. And don't let the fear mongers put the fear of God in you that you need to turn on them today to ensure that you get paid. And don't let those talking heads who probably should not be providing blanket advice because they have no idea what your situation looks like, what your income needs may be, you know, how you're going to cover all of your expenses in your retirement years. Don't let them dictate when you make a decision. Don't let your friend at the water cooler dictate when you're going to make the decision for turning on your Social Security, because that's probably the most common discussion we have surrounding Social Security is people will say, oh, my friend at tennis said I need to do this. Oh, my friend at the office is doing this and she's insistent that I need to do this. Oh, Joe down the street told me I'd be stupid if I don't do this. That might be what works in their plan, but your plan is very different. And we need to ensure that you're making the decision that works in your plan with your family, with your income needs, the amount of money that you spend on a monthly basis. We need to ensure that the decision you're making in Social Security is the right decision for you and your family. So we'd love to have that chat at 314-207-6211.
Gerry, Ricken, this time of the year, we were talking earlier in the show, it's holiday season. We got parties going on. We're out shopping, spending time with the friends and the family. A couple of weeks from Christmas. We still haven't finished decorating our tree.
Well, you know, a lot of people haven't either, Mark. In fact, I'm sitting in our radio studio right now at the office, and I'm looking at one of our 3 trees, and it has lights on it, but nothing else right now. So we haven't finished that.
And it drives me crazy.
That's not unusual.
Good. Thank you for making me feel better because I love the holiday. I absolutely love everything. I'm Clark Griswold.
You may be Clark Griswold, and I'm more like Cousin Eddie.
Crapper's full. But I think this time of the year, we get so busy and the little things kind of fall in between the cracks. But I know you and Heidi and the team at Ricken Financial, y'all are also busy as well. Maybe that's why the tree isn't fully decorated yet. What are you working on right now? What's on the minds of the families you serve?
You know, Mark, not only is it the holiday season, but it's also football season. It's still football season. And when I think about football, I think about a little analogy about the red zone, the 20-yard line. You get inside the 20, can you score? We are inside the 5-yard line right now with respect to retirement planning on what you can do before year end. And a lot of people come in and ask or call and ask, okay, what should I be thinking about? Do I need to make any estimated payments for my taxation this year? Is there an opportunity to do another Roth conversion before year end? What does that look like? How much should we convert? What does that do to my whole overall tax situation going forward? And then we want to also make sure that every client that we have that has a required minimum distribution, be that in a traditional IRA, so they're 73 or above, or in an inherited IRA, we want to make sure that that transaction occurs before 12/31 because you don't have any leeway on that. So those are the things that are top of mind for a lot of people right now. It has a lot of things to do with, oh my gosh, year end's coming. What do I need to do before year end?
Right.
The other thing, Mark, I failed to mention too, is can we do any tax loss harvesting? And we need to take advantage of that while the fiscal year is still available. So tax loss harvesting is simply saying, okay, can we take advantage of some things that may have a loss and then offset those with things that have a gain and not pay tax and actually increase your taxable basis in your overall portfolio? If you don't know what that means, reach out to us because that helps you tax-wise planning going forward.
Always thinking about your income because Gerry, Ricken, income is the outcome that matters the most in retirement. So let's talk a little bit about that because into 2026, some things could be changing about how we take our income, how we build income. What are you seeing? And more importantly, how are you helping?
Probably the most important thing that we can focus on when we think about income, when we think about retirees or prospective retirees is when to file for Social Security benefits. And I know Heidi touched on that quite a bit, but that is really where the rubber meets the road. You don't want to leave money on the table. And none of us know when our demise is going to occur, but we want to make sure that we plan as well as we can for you as an individual and for you as a couple if you're married. Because the most important thing you can do is think about your spouse when you're married, when you're planning for Social Security benefits. Because as you know, when one of you passes, the lowest benefit passes with you. So why not make the highest income earner file for the highest benefit so that going forward, when one of you is gone and your taxation does go up when one of you leaves this earth because you're no longer filing jointly, you want to make sure that your income doesn't go down as much as it could, because guaranteed income is the most important thing we can focus on in retirement, because we know that inflation occurs each and every year. How do we keep up with that? Well, the Social Security Administration has a cost of living adjustment in it, but sometimes it doesn't keep up with the true inflation that we experience when we go to Schnucks, when we go to Deerbergs, when we go to the Mobile on the Run, when we go to QT and get our gas. One of the things we need to do is always be cognizant of what changes are out there and how can we rectify that and actually plan for those changes so that you're not whipsawed in your retirement years.
Let's break it down even further. What are the most popular forms of guaranteed income that you're working with right now? We spent a couple of minutes talking about Social Security with Heidi. You can hear that on the Kickin with the Rickens podcast. You can stream it at rickenfinancial.com. But what else are you seeing, or how else do you help build income in retirement?
Well, building income in retirement, if you're blessed with a pension, we want to make sure that that pension is solvent. We want to make sure we look at those options and educate you on the options, especially if you're a couple, so that you understand what your options are. And some people say, well, let's take the highest benefit. But then when we do that, we maybe need to offset that with a life insurance policy so that if something does happen to the pensionee early on, that their spouse is taken care of in the form of a life insurance policy. So we offset that. So there are lots of unique planning opportunities we can do with respect to a pension. But the most important thing is just understanding and making an educated joint decision when you look at a pension if you're a married couple. The other things we can do are plan for increasing expenses throughout your retirement lives. We can design personal pension plans, and some people, it's a PPP. No, our personal pension plan simply means obtaining an annuity that pays you for the rest of your life jointly. So that's what that is. And there are all kinds of different kinds of annuities out there. A lot of people have bad taste in their mouth because of annuities, because grandma and grandpa's annuity, he got one payment out of it, and then the money went to the insurance company, and grandma didn't get anything. Well, that was a poor design. The whole industry has changed dramatically, and there's been a paradigm shift. What's best for the consumer? And that's what we always look for, is what is the most optimal thing that we can present to our clients so that they don't have the stressors of being able to cover all their expenses, and knowing how to do that, and having a steady payroll come in, because when you leave work, your paycheck stops.
Right.
This is, you're paying yourself. And how do we do that in a structured manner that as long as you have blood pressure, you have income? That's our objective. We want to make sure that you're comfortable, you're satisfied, and all of your goals, objectives, wants, and needs are taken care of with respect to guaranteed income.
So let's go back to annuities here for a minute. You just mentioned it. It's like it's not your grandmother's annuity anymore. Why is there such a negative stigma, if you will, behind annuities? Because at the end of the day, you just said it, guaranteed income that lasts as long as you do. So why do people frown upon that?
Well, there are different kinds of annuities out there, Mark, and some of them have very, very high expense ratios in them. They may be invested in the markets, so you'll have an expense ratio on the underlying securities. You also have layers of fees inside the annuities. What we do is we try to strip as much of that cost out and show you exactly what it will cost you with respect to an annuity. Some annuities, it won't cost you anything to get an income stream. Some it'll cost you a little bit. But when people think about annuities, they've heard the talking heads out there saying annuities are bad. They see the full page ads by people like Ken Fisher that says, I'd never buy an annuity. There's a lot of misinformation and just broad brush information. Yeah. What we do is we show you exactly what's available that meets you, we believe that will meet your retirement needs. Because each person who comes through here, each plan that we design is like a fingerprint. Your fingerprint is different than everyone else's out there. So we want to make sure that your plan meets your specific wants, needs, objectives, and you understand what the costs are going in so that you can make an informed and intelligent decision on what's best for your family.
And it's not too early to get on the calendar for 2026, because there's a lot of people, as we get ready to wrap up the year, they told themselves this time 12 months ago, hey, I'm going to get serious in 2025 about my retirement portfolio. I'm going to get some of my questions answered. Well, it never happened. So what you're saying is now is the right time to do it, to get ahead of the game for 2026.
The best time to start planning is today. And, our schedule is pretty booked for the rest of the life. Or for the rest of the year, not for the rest of our life.
Business is good then.
It could be. I'm telling you. Yeah, exactly. But for the rest of the year, our schedule is pretty full. And that's with people even focusing on all the Christmas parties and all the things that are happening with the family events and all those things that happen this time of year. But there's no better time to start planning than today. And the earlier you plan in 2026, the better you're going to be off tax-wise, because we can't do anything about what happened last year. We can do everything about what's happening in the future years, especially with respect to taxes. And we want to make sure that you understand what your taxation will be and what it can be, because our overall objective when we meet people is to determine whether or not we can have you be tax-free in retirement. Let me just say that one more time. Tax-free in retirement is our overall goal. If you'd like to learn more about how that happens, please call us at 314-207-6211, because we'd love to sit down and just educate you.
It's not a cliche. You often said, look, this isn't your grandparents' retirement. This isn't the same plan that Meemaw used to use. But we don't just say that to be a cliche. Everything you do at Ricken Financial is based in what your family has brought to the table, what the lessons you have learned from your parents and your grandparents. But there is a reason you say that, look, we build plans that wouldn't fit what your grandparents are doing today.
There is, because I had two sets of grandparents who had very different retirement lives. And I learned a lot of incredibly important lessons from both, some positive, some negative lessons. But I had a set of grandparents that were high wage earners who had a lot and retired with a lot and traveled the entire world and lived longer than they had expected and didn't have the plan in place because they didn't meet with anyone who was retirement specific. They were out of funds well before passing away, and they needed years of long-term care. And then I had a set of grandparents who scrimped and saved and worked their tails off to barely make ends meet, who made more money in retirement than they did in their working years, who always matched their risk tolerance, and who left a beautiful financial legacy behind that no one could have ever imagined they would have, because their life was just so different and they had the right plan in place. It's not your grandparents' retirement anymore. It's not many people are blessed like my grandparents were to have two pensions and Social Security that more than covers your income needs. But those of you who don't have that, you need to have the plan in place, because if you don't do the right type of planning, I don't want you to be in the group of people that run out of funds and have to rely on your family to step in and cover your financial necessities just to live.
The biggest difference about those two different retirements is guaranteed lifetime income. And that's where the rubber meets the road. If you have guaranteed lifetime income that meet all of your financial needs and wants, everything else is simple.
And the other big lesson is none of us have a crystal ball. My mom's dad, he's an anomaly. He never in his wildest dreams imagined he'd live past, 60, 65, maybe 70.
He thought he'd never get to 70.
Yeah, by the end of the day, he thought there was no chance in hell he'd live to 70. He died at 96. He's the first man in any generation of all of the Kriegshauser men who made it that far. And God bless them. They did what they wanted to do in their retirement. They traveled the world. They did some crazy, amazing things, but not planning for that longevity did come to bite them in the end. And so we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know how long we're going to live. And that may or may not be the reason, friends, that every single person we meet with, we plan for their retirement lives through age 100, because we don't know how long we're going to be around here.
As people look at me and they say, 100, are you crazy? And I say, no. Last year I got invited to two birthday parties for 100-year-olds, two relatives. The last that were celebrating their 100th birthday. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, folks. It just isn't. People are living longer. We're just not living longer, healthier, but we're living longer.
It's a common misconception that genetics alone are going to figure out how long we're going to live. Because so many people think, oh, well, my mom, my dad, my blah, 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 they died at this age, yada, yada. Okay, but that makes up 20% of your life expectancy. The other 80% is your environment, how you live, and if you're married, you fight harder to live longer for your spouse. It's a beautiful testament that Grammy and Poppy were married for 73 years and together for damn near their entire life. And Poppy told me multiple times, I thought I'd be gone by now, but I'm doing my best to get healthy and to stay healthy to help care for your grandmother. And what a beautiful testament. But good Lord, 96 years. He never thought he'd live a day past 70. Crazy.
And I will tell you, Heidi, you are blessed because 3 of your grandparents, Grandpa Ricken died a week short of his 95th birthday. And your 2 grandparents on mom's side, Bob and Mary Ann, lived in 96 and 95. So longevity is out there, folks.
That's 20% of my longevity. Whew, yeah. I'm in for it.
Yeah. So let's plan. Let's plan to make sure that we have the income that we need, that we don't have to run out of income and rely on others or rely on the federal government to take care of us in our aging years. And to do that, it's a simple call. It's a simple call to 314-207-6211.
It is a simple call because you need to have an entire retirement plan that's going to cover the needs and the wants in your retirement years. You need to ensure that you don't just have investments for retirement, because putting money away at a 401k or IRAs or a brokerage account, whatever you're going to stick money in right now, that's an investment. That's not a plan. Here's what a plan is and what you need to plan for in your retirement years nowadays. You need to have an income plan. How much guaranteed income are you going to have that comes in on a monthly basis? Because when you retire, the paychecks cease. You're no longer working for your money is working for you. So how is that income going to come in the form of payments to you so that you can cover all of your expenses? That income plan should be covering all of your necessary expenses, but also how do you cover the fun stuff? Because you worked really hard to save this so that you can do all the things you want to do in retirement. That income plan also needs to be tax advantaged. So you need to have some tax planning in there to weather the storm. Now, that would be right now while you're alive and both of you are here. What does the tax plan look like now? Well, if one of the 2 of you passes away, your income taxes are going to be about double. So what does that tax plan look like too? We need to forward focus all of your tax planning so that we can ensure the most tax advantage plan for your family over the course of your entire working and living years. Then we're going to take a look at healthcare. Do you have the right Medicare coverage with a supplement or an advantage plan? If you're going to retire before 65, what are you going to do to ensure that you have health insurance? And what about a plan for long-term care? At the end of the day, 7 out of 10 of us are going to need at least 1 day of long-term care. And if you're married, there's a 90% chance that one or both of you will need long-term care. So you got to have a plan in place. Okay. And the people who are going to make those decisions for you need to know what that plan looks like and what kind of care you would prefer to have so that they can ensure you have access to that type of care and coverage that you're searching for. So you need to have some form of coverage of long-term care in your plan. And then we need to look at your estate and legacy, because you deserve to leave behind a beautiful legacy of who you are, what drove your purpose. Maybe you have special skills that you can give to future generations. But if it's important for you to leave a financial legacy, you want to ensure that you do that in the most tax efficient manner as well. And that if that's important for you, it's a part of your plan. But if your retirement plan doesn't cover at least that and more, then you're not going to have the right plan in place for the future. And you need to put some work together to ensure that you're going to be covered. If you'd love to get started on the Purpose Approach and take advantage of our complimentary planning, and you've saved at least $500,000 for retirement, we'd love to chat with you at 314-207-6211 so we can ensure you don't just have investments, but a plan to weather the storm.
There are some people that have their goals for 2026. They're already putting their New Year's resolutions together, and one of them is to get serious about putting a financial plan together. Think about making the phone call this weekend. You can cross a 2026 goal off your list before we even get there.
Like I've said before, there's no time to start planning like today. Today is the best time to start planning. Because if you don't have a plan, you don't have anything.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
You just have a bunch of accounts and you're going to try to make do with those accounts. Well, why not have an articulated, planned out roadmap for the rest of your life that's led by someone who's done this year after year after year for family after family after family. And that's Ricken Financial.
We also want to be here to provide the support as life changes, your retirement needs change, and the financial world changes. Your plan's going to, have to be updated at some point in time. And we'd love to be here to help support you through your retirement so you don't have to go it alone.
Gerry, Heidi, as always, thank you for the information and the education this weekend. But before we get out of here, take us home.
Every day is a holiday.
Life is short. Laugh hard.
This has been Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.
Tax preparation and tax advisory services are offered through Ricken Financial. These services are not offered by IPW and are not subject to investment advisor requirements. These services referenced are an outside business activity not offered through or supervised by IPW.